afternoon. This is Gloria Nelson with TUG, and it is my pleasure to welcome you this afternoon to today's webinar with Ephesoft, Maximizing the Value of the Infor Document Management through IDM Capture. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask Sabrina Stratford to introduce herself, and Sabrina, go ahead and take it away.
Gloria, thank you. You sound like sunshine today. I just want you to know you sound great. Okay, everyone, I'm going to give you a little idea of what we're going to cover here today and introduce myself. I'm Sabrina Stratford, and I manage the partnership between Ephesoft and Infor. And I'm joined by Chris MacWilliams. We call him CMAC. And he manages our solution engineers at Ephesoft, and he's going to run our demo and help answer questions. And I was just thinking about this as Gloria and I were chatting. The last time I left my home office or got on a plane or did anything travel-wise was to go to the TUG event at Dallas Anatole, and I just wonder if that's the case for many of us on this call. And who knew at that time that capture and digital transformation would be so important to the work from home world. So together with Infor, we provide a true digital operations platform to play a critical role in cloud-based digital business. And today more than ever, digital transformation is a priority. So very quickly, who is Ephesoft? We were selected as the Infor capture partner, partly due to our leadership in this space. We basically invented context-driven productivity, or CDP. CDP is a discipline designed to cultivate the contextual data needed to optimize process automation. It involves 3 steps: acquiring the data needed to run an existing process, enriching that data by building in the connections of context, and finally amplifying the value of that data by getting it to the right people or robots at the right time to increase productivity. Ephesoft Transact is the software under the hood of Infor Document Capture. So it's a plugin for IDM, and it's integrated with Infor OS multi-tenant. We're widely known as Infor's optical character recognition, or OCR, if you hear them refer to their OCR. But today we're going to cover some of the bigger benefits we bring to the table and why it matters to your enterprise. So let's talk about the problems we solve. The majority of data is unstructured, information that either doesn't have a predefined data model or isn't organized in a predefined manner. So think about your contracts, multi-page PDFs, invoices, of course, all unstructured. So navigating this type of data is the biggest roadblock to productivity. Where we help. Think of data-intensive processes. Physical and digital content is part of just about every business process, whether it's a contract sent from a customer as an email attachment, a paper invoice mailed to an accounting department, or sales orders in a folder. And what do these use cases have in common? Documents, paper, lots of data. Manual document processing slows down not only the process, but it has a chain reaction impact on all downstream activities. Just think about how many times per day you reference or open, forward, construct, or extract data from documents. If you're in an office that prints something out to work on it and then scans it back in, you're in the right place. Now, what do we need to manage all of this data? Let's start with searchability. Ensuring that your content is completely searchable makes sure that the right user can find it at the right time. So having 30,000 scanned PDFs from your copier in a repository may be a good first step, but if you can't search that content, then the value obviously drops significantly. Once a document is converted with an intelligent document processing engine, it goes beyond pure text, and now it's enriched and ready for extensive digital use. So up the value chain we go with classification. Classification, you could also call it categorization, answers the most basic content value question. What is this? So the identification of the document or content type is a critical step to advancing up the chain and requires machine learned or trained models that use not only text, but other dimensions to ensure accuracy. Classification is an important requirement for the automation of separation or sorting out bundled document sets. It allows the system to know when one document ends and another begins. When I know the document type, I know how to apply security, how to set retention schedules, what workflows might apply, and now I can add additional elements of value specifically tied to that content type. So for a contract, knowing the expiration date and the terms are extremely valuable to the business. This type of layering of the elements of value can help an organization maximize document data. So we move on to metadata, or data about data. Now we can extract data of interest based on that document type. The information in and of itself is valuable, but it's also a key catalyst as we rise up the value chain, and that can be a true enabler for applications. So metadata are attributes, the key data that's extracted. So it's beyond the value of eliminating manual entry of data, which is a huge return on investment in itself, but having metadata that is specific to a type of document extends that value. Having a wrong invoice number is probably worse than having no invoice number at all. So accurate metadata about a document drives the collection of contextual data and enables core content business functions. So now that we've identified the problem we solve, what we need to do is talk about the solution. And when we talk about IDM capture, we're actually talking about a value proposition that ultimately gives us the contextual data we need to automate. It breaks down into three areas: acquire, enrich, and amplify. Acquire or capture isn't just about scanning. We want to make meaning out of the content, make it better, and make it actionable. So we enrich the data with database lookups or by leveraging artificial intelligence such as RPA, that robotic process automation that we read so much about. And we can link our data or make it better, and now we can share it or amplify it, and that data is in context. The benefits we're bringing our customers with intelligent document classification and data extraction helps in a number of ways. So we reduce processing time by getting hands off of the documents and removing keystrokes. Nobody has to sort stacks of paper for processing. We do that automatically. We make data better, so the only thing you have to deal with are the exceptions. All content is searchable, and we use the metadata to make other processes better. And we're browser-based with a cloud or on-premise offering. So there's three parts for our end-to-end solution. IDM Capture is at the top for onboarding data, IDM or Infor Document Management in the middle, and then Cloud Suite over on the left. So IDM Capture can bring in documents from watch folders or connection to a scanner or pulling email attachments. Then IDM Capture classifies the document. It understands what it is and where the pages start and stop. So we just did away with manual sorting and separator pages. Now we're pulling the data based on the document type. We need the customer name, the invoice total, the date, and that good clean data flows to IDM via an API. So it does a lot at once. It flows to an ION Sync Capture BoD to work with Cloud Suite. It flows into a searchable PDF, and it includes all the metadata that we captured. And then Cloud Suite or SXE, LN, M3, all of the ERP systems that we are integrated with, they can process that incoming BoD and create, say, an accounts payable invoice. And that metadata is also automatically tied to the image in IDM. Then that image becomes displayable within Cloud Suite. I hope that generated some questions that are kind of come up for us here in a little bit. This is a great slide to show the IDM capture solution from acquire to release. On the left, we can capture, as I mentioned, from folders, scanners, fax machines, email attachments, your phone. We then clean it up, deskew, remove blanks, and now we can classify that document type, which is how we've assigned our business rules, Is it an invoice, a contract, a resume? Then we extract the data we need. We might do a database lookup and use fuzzy logic if we need to for validation. And then finally, we deliver that good data to Infor, a repository, or wherever it needs to go. All right, let's bring it home with the business value. One of the big business users for this solution is the accounting department. They'll be grateful to free up knowledge workers to do more important things, such as finding dynamic discounting and sliding scale discounts. Now you can have time to research things like reverse factoring, and all these programs save money. If you want to know a little more about that, check out one of the case studies at Ephesoft.com. Honda Logistics actually did turn in an accounts payable department that was a cost center into a profit center. The more manual processes your organization has, the bigger opportunity to breach your security. So take a look around some organizations, as I mentioned, when you have people printing out documents and circulating them through folders or leaving them on people's desk. And in this case, it's a matter of getting things to people's laptop at home securely. Regulatory compliance might not sound like a competitive advantage if compliance is compulsory, but some companies just get it better than others. Treasurers can minimize the associated cost of security and may even be able to return other departments into profit centers. Okay, we mentioned robotic process automation, or RPA. Classification and good metadata is helpful for this up the chain value, and this is a great example. We make RPA much smarter and efficient. We serve as the document on-ramp and work through open APIs to work with your RPA partner. So if you're already working with any of the RPA vendors, Blue Prism, Nintex, any of them, we're good because we're going to make that solution better. AP invoicing is our biggest use case right now, where we've had the most success with Infor. And I think it's because many companies just struggle to gain visibility into that department and capture and enter the right data, all while ensuring strong supplier relationships. And the fact is, this is time-consuming, error-prone, and open to fraudulent activity. So as we improve this department, the entire enterprise improves. And plus, I think the costs that are associated with invoice processing. I mean, if we look at the figures, the cost to process a single invoice averages around $14.38, takes about 11 days, and it can rarely be straight through processing. But with Smart Capture, we slash that processing cost to $2.52 from 11 days to 3 days, and increase straight through processing to 65% on the average. It doesn't stop in the AP department. Just to kind of get your wheels turning about where this might work in your enterprise, think what we do for healthcare. We can automate the capture of patient intake records, billing documents, patient records, lab reports. In insurance, automated claims process that can cut labor costs in half, cut processing time from 75 days to 8 days. In finance, we can onboard customers quicker and process loans faster by like 80 to 90% faster. Big improvements in customer service. We understand that you may not have all of these use cases within your organization, but again, maybe that gets you thinking about what we can do in different departments. So with your wheels turning for that, Gloria, this is time to turn it back over to CMAC and get a demonstration going. And then if anybody has any questions starting to brew, you can start adding those to the chat window so we can get to them when Chris is done.
All right, well, thank you so much, Sabrina, and everyone for joining today's call. I'm going to actually start the demonstration just with an email, and I think this is so so important on how we receive documents today. But before I jump into that, I want to just quickly go back to a few slides that Sabrina went over and just review them again. Just so that we have a clear understanding. So again, I'm going to show you IDM Capture, and we're going to take the information through the different processes and input that information into IDM itself. So again, this is the demo I'm going to take you through is all through an email, going through taking the email, processing that information inside IDM Capture, and then I'll offload that information to ION and push that data into IDM. So that's how we've really structured the integration between IDM Capture and IDM itself. So it is a bolt-on component to IDM. And just to kind of review again, the demo I'm going to take you through is going to start with an email trigger. So much of us receive invoices through email, but you can get data in a lot of different ways. If it's a fax or physical scanning, different ways to pull the data in. There's a couple other processes, these are in gray shading here, that happen as automatic routines. So IDM Capture is a fully fledged image processing suite of tools, which allows us to, like Sabrina was talking about, OCR the document and normalize the image, provide rigorous cleanup to get the best possible image. And then we'll do classification. We'll run the information through a content recognition engine to figure out what type of document we're dealing with, and then apply different extraction techniques and strategies to those documents to pull it out. The important part of this is to capture the information up front and have a exception-based system that allows you to catch things that fall out of the confidence ratings or the thresholds, so that you can make sure that the information going into your back end, into IDM and into workflows is 100% accurate. It's so important to make sure you capture the data as it's coming in, so it's accurate, and you can really streamline your business that way versus trying to catch it later within the process. And then finally, we can deliver it obviously to the Infor, again through the BoD integration that we have. So let's go into the demo. I have a collection of invoices here. So this is actually 6 or so invoices in a PDF. And I like kind of just reviewing the information together just so you can see it. This is a lot of different invoices in one single PDF. And I'm actually going to put, I've attached that PDF to an email, and I would send that email off to IDM Capture, and it's going to be listening and waiting for those emails to come in, and we can automatically capture those emails, take that invoice attachment, and put it into this process that we're going to see here in a moment. And this really allows, again, if you think about all the different ways invoices can come into the organization, email is a very common one for us, so we see it a lot. But this one factor of just getting kind of that funnel or that centralized collection mechanism to pull your invoices into the process can really help things. So this is, again, iOS that I'm looking at here. I have IDM Capture set up in the app switcher. So again, it's another component you add on. It's all cloud-based, so you don't have to wait a long time to install the software. We can once it's ordered, you can easily add it to your account. If I click on it, this actually takes me into the IDM Capture or Ephesoft batch processing list. We call it the batch list. And this shows me that there's actually a batch here ready for validation. So I talked a little bit about the confidence thresholds and confidence ratings. So anytime we have an automated decision happen inside IDM Capture or Ephesoft Transact, we're able to pull those exceptions out and show the user different information to validate against. So if I click on this particular document, or this batch of documents, I should say, you can see I'm actually taken directly into the third invoice that I put up. So this is one of the key parts of the solution, is to be able to take the documents and not only classify them as the right type of information, but also separate them into individual transactions. So you can see here I have a few different invoices here we've separated out. It's actually, again, exception based. The doc 3 here, the invoice number was not captured, and you can see someone spilled coffee on this invoice, so it was a little hard for the engine to actually find that information. And this is by design to have a really consistent, easy way to index the information and pull it into a process. So here I would go ahead and enter in my information to enter that invoice number there. This is totally customizable, so I have a few index fields here, but we have a lot of different indexes that we might, or a lot of different recognition fields that we can add to a particular invoice. So if you want to do other calculations or find additional information into the off the invoice, we can create more fields to satisfy that request. The user would then just click validate to jump to the next document. This is another one I just have falling out here just to show another way to index information. So you can see there's a invoice number here. I can actually, instead of just typing the information in, I can interact with the image on the right-hand side that allows me to quickly index the information. And by clicking on this invoice number, like I've done here, we can actually trigger a learning event as well, so that the system can improve itself as we see more information come through. So it's very important to just be able to, again, get the data in as quickly as possible and learn from the information. A couple other features here before I go on. There's you might have seen me click here on this table button. We have in different projects, some people have a requirement to capture line item details, some people don't. So we can actually look at both different scenarios. And the table button allows us to see the table data that we can pull off the invoice as well. So a lot of different capabilities and functionality here. So again, I'm just going to quickly validate this particular batch, and I would click OK, and that would release the batch of all these invoice transactions into IDM, Infor Document Management. So let's go look at what that looks like. So this is Infor IDM. I'm just going to go back to my search results here, and then, this is actually a invoice that we've pulled in that we've processed that we can look at. So this is that particular one that has the watermark or the kind of coffee stain on it, and you can see we've taken all the data that we've captured on the IDM capture side. We've added them as attributes to the document. So this allows us to search for particular invoice numbers, or really allow you to put all your documents in one central area and be able to query and look for it and apply workflows on top of it, or anything that's available to you in the Infor stack is at your disposal now, since the data is tucked nice and neat into the solution there. So that is a quick high-level flow of how we can streamline information into IDM Capture, or using IDM Capture to pull the information into IDM. And there's lots of, this is just touching the surface on the capabilities of the product, but like Sabrina was talking about, we use the same process and techniques to capture other types of documents that might not be part of the AP process. So, if there's an insurance or a healthcare related scenario, we can use this very similar strategies of how we handle invoices to leverage into different areas of the business. So hopefully that helps describe and explain some of the information. And I'll turn it back over to you, Sabrina.
Chris, you did a good job because they're asking some great questions. So let me start with, how do we get it? You get it through Infor. And so if you have an Infor account representative, they can help you. And if not, reach out to me. The email address is there under Infor BDM, sabrina.stratford@ephesoft.com. We can set up a demonstration for you, give you more assets to review and share, or get you aligned with a regional manager to come out and visit, whatever we need to do. And the purchase is made through Infor. Okay, let's see. First question is this available for SX on-prem? And yes, it is, Della. It is available for either on-prem or Infor OS multi-tenant. The requirement there is Infor OS version 12, and that's kind of across the board. And I think that specific dot release for you guys is 11.1.8, I think. But if you need that exact version, please email me and I'll get you the matrix that we keep for our certifications. Next question is, oh great, David's asked some great questions. How are you getting email PDF attachment into IDM Capture? Are you using an ION workflow to do this, Chris?
Oh, great question. So inside IDM Capture, there's a out-of-the-box email monitoring tool that can be configured. So it basically will listen as long as you have a email server that you can tie into and an email address. We support POP, IMAP protocols, as well as Exchange EWS or Exchange Web Services. So as long as your email solution supports one of those three protocols, we can monitor an email inbox and pull the information in, just like you saw me in the demo.
And do we have to train IDM Capture on where to look for specific information? For example, the invoice number field, the PO number field, invoice data field, etc.?
Yeah, so there is a training exercise that goes into each implementation. So the best way to describe it is we've done a lot of invoice projects. So there's a knowledge base of very flexible invoice rules inside this knowledge base that allows us to get a project up and running and really satisfy some of those consistent requirements, like everyone needs an invoice number, for example, and an amount. So we have a lot of pre-built rules around those common fields. So it just depends on your implementation. If you have something that's outside of the common fields or things like that, there might be some additional training, or if there's different document types that you need to add, there'll be some additional training there as well. So
okay. Great questions. Does Ephesoft work with handwritten data, ICR?
Yeah, great question. So Transact has an ICR engine that allows us, ICR, I should define it. ICR stands for Intelligent Character Recognition. And typically in the ICR world, these are forms that has handwritten data in very fixed locations where you can write characters inside of either a comb form or box form. We have tools within the product to be able to pull those ICR fields or that hand printed data. So it just depends on the type of data we're looking at, and how clean people write and things like that. But there are capabilities within the product, absolutely.
Okay, and Chris, you may not know all of the languages we support by memory. I don't think I do, but do we recognize non-English characters such as French?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we do have a French office and do a lot of French projects. The way we kind of look at a language set is down to the character level. So we have the engine that will actually recognize text off of a document, and we can add character sets to that recognition. So in French language, for example, uses a lot of the similar type of characters. So we have support for those, and the accents and the different kind of characters we can add that particular language to. We do have it published on the documentation side as well for all the characters we support.
Yeah, if you want to do a search on our website, you can find that. And Doris asked about documents coming through EDI. And Doris, we don't have a certified integration with EDI. Ephesoft Transact can work with many, many different platforms, but as far as IDM Capture, it is not certified with EDI at this time.
And that's a good point, Sabrina, to just kind of go off of that a little bit more. EDI is the data is already electronic and digital, so that you'll probably use a different way to pull that data in. So there's really no need to actually run that through something like IDM Capture here, because that data is structured and can be automatically imported into your suite. So what we really focus on is what happens when the document comes in that's not an EDI, that's not in a structured electronic format. That's what you saw in my demo, is to bring all that together, make it all structured so that we can put the data into the back end and pay the invoice effortlessly.
Great. We're getting good questions. Kurt wants to know how you split a PDF document with multiple invoices into single invoices.
Great. Yeah, great question. So yeah, that's exactly when we take a PDF or we take a document in, we can run that logic to split these documents in. I've seen a lot of different companies will have different ways of handling this. What you saw in my demo was a way to automatically detect the invoice transaction boundaries, which allows us to find an invoice and then look at a single page of data, and then look at maybe the next page to see if that data has changed. And we can actually, since we're extracting all this information, we can look to see if the invoice number, if the vendor name is different from page 1 to page 2, or if the words on the invoice, such as page 1 of 1 or 1 of 2. There's a handful of strategies that we use to actually use this separation to split these invoices out, and it's primarily driven on the properties or the information on the invoice, such as the invoice number and page numbers and things of that nature.
Okay, C-Mac.
It's also last piece on that is, and some people run the traditional way where they put separator barcodes in between invoices as well, and that's also something we can do. We just typically don't do that if we don't have to.
Right, take the step out if we can. So the metadata that's captured to Transact, is it possible to export this metadata using an external connection point in ION?
Yeah, that's again, we're putting the information into that sync capture document bot. So at that point, it's just going into ION. So that is just like any other data source within ION. So I know enough about ION, but you might look into a little bit more information. But I wouldn't see why it wouldn't be possible to do that. The data is all there, so it's ready to go. There's also additional export functionality within IDM Capture. You know, if you have to go there, you can do it, but there's ways to export data directly out of IDM Capture as well as structured files and do other things there as well. So there's always a few different ways to solve a problem.
Yeah. In high volume applications, such as in initial loads or end of day operations, typically how many documents can be classified per hour?
Classified per hour. So I'm not sure if the question is around like a performance, like a throughput
Sounds like to
performance.
me, yeah.
Yeah. So in probably in that sense, I would look. We actually have, again, this is all cloud-based server licensing, so we can design a system to meet practically any large volume throughput requirements. We've done really large projects within the financial world, inside mortgage, that do a lot of document classification at speed. So it's really kind of understanding the requirements and how quickly you need to go, and making sure the system is designed to support that volume. So there's a lot of capabilities within the platform to do that.
And just a note on that, there's two ways that it's priced in the Infor CPQ. You can get it on annual transactions if you have an idea of what you would like to process annually, or as kind of Chris was explaining, our core purchase is how fast you want it to process. So you have those choices as well. All right, CMAC, in a hybrid cloud configuration, would you simply use on-prem scanners scanning to a monitored email account, or is there a connector for a local scanner?
Yeah, great questions.
I know.
I am very impressed. Yeah. So so there's actually, inside of IDM Capture, we have a capability to do distributed scanning. So we have a functionality called the web scanner. So I didn't have a scanner hooked up to my demo today, but it's a very robust scanning tool that allows you to scan directly into IDM Capture. So all you have to do is have a scan driver on your scan station and be able to connect to the Twain driver within the scanner. Every major scanner manufacturer will have a Twain driver, and we can actually scan those documents directly into IDM Capture. So yeah, a distributed hybrid model is definitely a way you can do that. There's actually other ways if you want to use your own scanning software. Some customers just want to use IDM Capture for the advanced recognition and processing and leverage their existing scan tools. That is also a possibility. It's just looking at how we transfer the images over to the IDM Capture service. So there's a few different ways to handle that. But yeah, we've run them in both ways. I would urge you to look at the IDM Capture web scanner.
Okay, and it looks like we've come to our last question unless another one pops up. Does IDM Capture create an additional BoD in Cloud Suite distribution? For example, something like a sync IDM Capture BoD.
Yes, so we do create a BoD that goes into IDM, and there's basically that BoD can be pulled and pushed into the Infor product that you're looking to do. So the BoD that we create is called a sync capture document BoD.
Yep. All right. That's all the questions I see here, but I just want to call your attention again to my email address there, sabrina.stratford@ephesoft.com. If you have any more questions, if you need some assets, if you need a demo or direction, please contact us. And this has been a pleasure. Really great questions. I appreciate getting to present to you, and I know CMAC does as well. So Gloria, that concludes our program today.
Sabrina and Chris, aka CMAC, thank you so much for the great content. And this will be available on our webinar tab on our TUG home page on our website. And thank you again, and thank you for attending, everyone. And as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap. Have a great day. Bye now.